Here's Johnny.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
So simple.
Roll out.
I am Iron Man.
This is a tasty burger.
Welcome to the In Session Film Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Chasing the Gold podcast. I'm Erica Richards, and I am here with my good friend.
Yeah, I'm Shadan Larkey, fresh from a giggle fit. And,
yeah, because we just spent like a good 15 minutes just like kikiing before we actually started recording. So,
as we should. I do want to say about our last episode, thank you to everyone that was, on the ride with us while we were talking about, books and TV and all these things. We do realize this is a movie-centric podcast. We just like to nerd out about things sometimes. So if you listened in with us, we do appreciate it. It's funny, Erica, because we recorded that episode and then literally the next day, the Academy decided to drop a bunch of new rules and announcements. And I'm like, it would have been nice if you would have dropped this last night while we were talking about the Oscars. So
I know.
Here we are again.
I know, here we are. How do we feel overall about the rules? What's funny is, like, when it came out, again, I know we talk about this all the time, like, we have people in our lives who, like, are just casual movie watchers, right? And I was talking about it, and a couple of my girlfriends at book club, they were like, they came to me and they were like, we did not know this wasn't a thing before. Like, we thought everyone was watching all the thing. And I was like, yeah, no, like, it was not like a requirement. And it was just like, what? They were like, I feel like we need to go back and redo all of the Oscars. I was like, yeah, I mean, like, you just kind of hope that everyone's watching what they're voting on. And, there's been a few celebrities. I think it was Carrie Coon and Kristen Dunst that both, that, like, in interviews were saying, like, they were asking, like, oh, what do you still need to see or whatever, and they're like, oh, I've seen it all, I'm a member of the Academy, so like, and I'm like, yes, let's go, like, call them out so subtly, but like so loud at the same time. So
what Erica is referring to is that one of the new rules that they've instituted is that you cannot vote on a category until you can prove that you've seen all of the films, and so it's going to be instituted for all 25 of the categories for next year. So either you can like watch it through the Academy portal, or if you see it at a festival or at a movie theater, you have to submit a form proving, like, showing the time and whatever that you've seen the film, which I guess that part of it is going to operate on an honor system. So I guess you could fudge if you really wanted to and say you saw something that you didn't. But yeah, I'm like really fascinated by this, Erica, because I'm like, I have so many thoughts, actually.
Yeah, tell me your thoughts. I love it. I'm so into it. I think it's like huge for like accountability. It's such a privilege to be a part of this voting academy. And like, if I was someone who, I always like put myself in shoes of others, right? Like, if I was a filmmaker, like, of course I would want if I was a filmmaker whose film was nominated, I would want, or anything, right? Like, if I was nominated for an Oscar, I would want whoever was voting for me or for the category to watch my thing, but also everyone else's. That way it's fair across the board, like, I don't know. It's just, I think it's such a good thing. So
it is a good thing, but there is a part of me, that's why I'm struggling to get my thoughts together a little bit, because there's a part of me that's like, what happened? Inevitably, if you're saying you have to watch everything to be able to vote, there are some people that are just going to be like, I'm going to abstain, right? And so what does that do when you have less people voting? Like, I feel like that's going to lead to a lot of potentially like smaller films, something like the Andrea Riseborough a couple years ago. Like, if you just have less people, then maybe these smaller films, if there's more passion behind them, they can maybe break through, because it's like, okay, we only need X amount of people to have seen this film to be able to nominate. And we should mention, like, the requirement for having to see everything is only for final voting. So I guess it's not really going to impact the nomination process. But like, even something like I'm Still Here from last year, like, if you have more people, like less people voting on the thing and more people kind of focused on this film that they're championing, are they going to be able to better push it through. Like in a few years, are we going to see, a potential for something like a Fernando Torres Oscar win? Obviously, it's too early and we won't know. I just think it's really interesting. Like anytime you mess with the voting process or like a voting body, it's going to change what the outcomes are. And so like, yeah, in a perfect world, it's going to lead to more like the Carrie Coons and the Kirsten Dunsts of the world, like that kind of a thing. But I'm like, is it? And like, if you do have these more like really passionate movie people kind of doing your final voting, does that mean that these like, are we getting more Moonlights and like that kind of winners as opposed to maybe something? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just really interested to see what this actually means in terms of like who our winners are going to be.
Yeah. That's a great question. I mean, I think it's going to change how all of it's done, right? It's going to change the campaigning of things. It's going to change, the marketing of things. It's going to be really interesting to see how it all plays out. But I do think it's a really good thing.
The other interesting thing that I have to say is I controversially really love the anonymous Oscar ballots that come out every year. I know people hate them because they say they're mean-spirited, but this change, in my opinion and many other people's opinions, basically came about because all these Oscar voters on these ballots were like, well, I haven't seen such and such. They'll be like, oh, I'm voting for Timmy. I haven't had a chance to see whatever else. Right. So it's interesting that these things that have been maligned for so long are basically the thing that gave us this rule change. It's kind of a weird like ripple. I don't know. I just find that hysterically funny. I do want to mention a couple of the other rule changes. So one of them is that casting and cinematography are both getting short lists, which I think is cool. And I think the introduction of short lists has led to like really a lot more interesting nominees and a lot of kind of less left field choices because you sort of have to narrow them down first. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects those two races, especially because we don't even know what casting is going to look like.
Right.
And then a big change to campaigning. Erica, did you see that? Like you basically, and some of these rules we were talking about this before, they're a little bit vague. So I think we're going to have to wait and see how some of them are implemented. But one of them is you can't really disparage if you're caught disparaging a nominee. Like there's going to be consequences in air quotes because we don't know what the consequences are going to be. But I'm assuming a sort of side effect of all the Amelia Perez controversy from last year. That you have to be a bit more careful, I guess, in your promotional materials and in your which I think is a really good, because we've talked about, I have very complicated feelings about the campaigning process and the amount of money. I don't know if we talked about this on the podcast, but one of the things that came out after the Oscars was the amount of money that was spent on the Anora Oscar campaign, which was, I don't even know, X amount times the actual budget of the film. And so there were all these people that were saying like, you literally, like Neon could have taken that money and funded 4 independent films on the money that they spent to win. So I think it's interesting, like, are we going to see more changes to the campaigning process as people potentially become like more upset, or especially like since we're heading into this, there's so much economic anxiety. And so I feel like that's inevitably going to lead to like, oh, you're having all these flashy Hollywood events, like is that going to lead to backlash? Maybe not, but I can't help but.
Do you think there would ever, like, are you thinking there's ever going to be a day where there's like a limit on how much can be spent on campaign and marketing and stuff? Like,
I mean, they should, in my opinion, not that anyone cares, but I feel like they should institute.
I care about your opinion.
Thank you. But I feel like they should maybe not even like a money cap would be a good idea, but like, X amount of events or like a certain time frame maybe that you have to have your programming. I don't know. Another rule that they implemented is that producers have to disclose, basically a film has to disclose who their PGA official producers are in order to be like nomination eligible. So whenever we come to Oscar morning, we're going to know all of our nominees. So no more nominees to be determined. Rest in peace, which was such a prevalent thing that they made a t-shirt out of it, which I think is really
I saw that, which is funny. I think, it's interesting, like, what do you think is really at the root of all of these sudden changes? I mean, not sudden, but, like, kind of a lot all at once.
I think there was a lot of stuff last year, and there was a lot of controversies, and this is their way of trying to nip it in the bud. Another, rule change that they've implemented is AI. Again, the language that I saw in multiple articles is not very clear. I don't know if people really know what it means, but basically the filmmakers have to be more transparent about how AI is used in the film. And then I guess it's up to the discretion of the Academy if they think that it's, impedes the filmmaking process or not. Same thing with eligibility for so let's say you're a refugee filmmaker and you're making a film outside of your native country. So they've kind of changed the rules on that a little bit of you can claim, your new country as the country helping you with the film. So that, was relevant last year. So I don't know. I think it's just they saw a lot of things happening, a lot of articles that were out there, a lot of negative press, and this is their way of getting in front of it, which is you should have made these changes anyway. You shouldn't wait for people to be annoyed with you to be like, let's make things better. You should want to do that before. But I mean, we talked about this with the stunts. I think I guess we should be happy we're getting any changes at all. Yeah, we should have gotten the stunt Oscar years ago. We should have gotten casting years ago. But it should have just been, as you were saying, your friends mentioned, it should just be such a basic thing of you have to see the movies before you vote on them. But better late than never, I guess.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if I think those things being called out, I guess we can assume that's what's making these changes. But it's just, I wonder who's actually behind the scenes, actually making it happen. Is it members of the Academy coming forward saying we need to do these things, or, is it the people in charge? I don't know. But I just think about those things, how it actually comes to fruition.
I mean, I have no idea, but I would actually imagine it's probably publicists for a certain film that were angry because the use of AI, blah blah blah, or publicists of being nobody saw our film, or I would imagine I would hope that it would be members of the Academy being how can we make this better, but I just feel it's probably a studio executive or something that was pushing behind the scenes.
But
honestly, I have no idea.
The AI stuff is going to be really interesting because that is how everything is moving forward. And because the wording, and everything is so vague, it's how are filmmakers going to know what is going to fall within the, what are the regulations, how are they, it's just going to be interesting because I feel they're going to have to really hone in on what is going to be considered too much. And then it's is your film not eligible? And what controversies is that going to stir up? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting. And the speed of AI right now is the fastest thing in the world. So it's going to be really hard for them to set regulations because things are going to change so rapidly at all times. It's just, I don't know. It's
well, same
really
thing with the whole idea of you can't disparage a nominee. So are we going to be in a situation where they're going to strip somebody of a nomination potentially? I don't really see that happening, and I don't really know how you could do that in a way that would be fair, because I could see it even more controversies erupting of okay, we stripped so and so of their nomination because they did this rule violation, but then they didn't do that. I just feel it's the kind of thing where it wouldn't be evenly distributed potentially. Again, in a perfect world, it would be fair, but we don't know that, and my cynical heart is I don't really know how it could end well. Same thing with even the idea that okay, you're going to disclose that you went to a movie theater in Burbank and you saw The Brutalist, but you could just not go and say, I don't know, anytime, I guess what I'm trying to say is anytime you're working on an honor system and thinking that people are going to disclose, you hope for the best, but there's really no way to
Right. And is it on the honor system, right? Like, are they like I guess that's what my questions are, is like, really, what are the definitive rules, and like, how are you making sure that people are following them?
yeah.
Or like you said, is it just the honor system to be like, well, we really used a lot of AI here and we just want everyone to know that? And then is that going to determine how people feel it? Like, what is the point of disclosing how much you're using AI? Is it just so the audience is aware and the voters are aware, or is it like because you actually want that to be taken into account on how people are voting? Like, what is the
Right.
reasoning behind it? You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I'm
And
just
it
trying to
could be
understand.
Yeah, and it could be a
Yeah.
way, particularly with the AI, to like maybe it would end up being punishing to smaller films because those are the films that could benefit the most from the use of AI.
Yeah.
Because if you're a filmmaker and you don't have time to do X, or you don't have the budget for
Right.
something, it would make sense that you would use AI to sort of supplement some things, as The Brutalist did very minimally. So like I would hope that like a film is not punished for that, but it'll be, and it would be interesting. I think maybe because we're very like anti AI right now, like our film's going to be unfairly punished, and then later on they kind of walk the rule back. I don't know. All of this
Exactly.
to
That
say, it's all very fluid of like what some of these rules are going to mean, I think, long term.
Yeah, I mean, think about it, right? It's like, iPhones, it was like shame on you for like, using your iPhone to record stuff, and like that is the way the world now, like, and as someone who has a degree in video production, it's like everyone thinks they're a video producer now. Everyone thinks they're like
Mhm.
a videographer now, So it's that thing, and it's also like, again, like I think we need to change the way we look at it sometimes, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. I think, like you said, everyone so right now is so anti AI, but like, if we're using it in good ways, in the right way, like you said, a small filmmaker could benefit from it. And why are we holding them back from, not having the budget that these bigger I don't know. It's just like, it's very, like you said, I'm trying to unpack how I feel about it, because that's where my question is coming from. Like, what is the point of asking why we're disclosing the AI thing? Like, I just want to know what is their like end goal with it? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I think it's the kind of thing like 5 years from now, we'll be like, oh, like that rule change led to. I think now it's just too early to know what any of these changes are going to do.
yeah.
And yeah, even like making sure that everyone is watching things on paper is a great idea, but like maybe that's going to have consequences, good or bad, right?
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. You've given me a lot to think about, Erica, as always. Now I'm like, my brain, the wheels are turning. I'm processing.
The assumption of like the whole AI thing, it's like, okay, but why are we asking this question? Like, what is the root of the issue, or what is the root of the knowing the information? Like, I'm just trying to understand
Well, I mean,
why.
I think obviously right now people are very like afraid of AI, or they,
Mhm.
I think human nature is like you don't like things that you don't understand, and right
Yeah.
now people are trying to still grasp AI and understand what it means for our
Yep.
world, and like
Yep.
the idea is like you want to protect the integrity of the artistic process, but to your point, like AI could be used in an artistic way, so it'll be interesting to see. I feel like I don't know this. My like instinct is to say that because they're just implementing these rules now, they're probably not going to be that strict with them. Like I highly
Right.
doubt if it's like if something like The Brutalist comes out and then we find out, oh, AI was I doubt they're going to be like, let's strip this film of 10 nominations.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. I don't know.
Yeah. Overall, I think a lot of good changes with the Academy. Is there any other rules that like changed, or something that we haven't talked about, or
Possibly. I'm gonna read through them real
okay.
quick. If we did miss anything, please let us know, and let us know what you think. Maybe again, I think I'm just a very cynical person, and so sometimes I'm like, I don't know if so if you guys think they're good or bad, um, I would really like to know.
Yeah, I want to know how other people feel about this too, because I think I'm confused by some of it. I'm really excited about some of it. Maybe blindly excited. Maybe this isn't a good thing. I don't know. I would love to see what or hear what people are thinking.
I think what I've seen is a lot of people are having the same reaction that we've had, which is like, what does this actually mean in practice? I do want to say, Erica, that I don't know what you're going to be doing at March 15th, 2026, but that's the official date that's been set for the next Oscar
I
ceremony.
saw that. I saw
Yeah.
that. I wonder, is South by already set for next year? I wonder, is it
Well,
around the same time again?
so I was just looking up the dates for South by Southwest 2026, which are going to be the 12th through the 18th. Which is interesting.
Yeah, so again, the Oscars are going to fall right in the middle of
South
South
and
by.
it was breaking festival news for those of you who follow festival season closely. Actually, one of the I think lead programmers for South by, they have departed the festival, so there's quite a bit of shakeup for South by Southwest. So it'll be interesting to see how the chips fall for my beloved South by.
Do we know why or where they went or any details?
I think this last year, again, I don't know. I think this last year there was a lot of, I don't know, thought maybe not controversies, but the programming and the way the festival was executed was not maybe what people were hoping it would be. So maybe this is because of that. Who knows?
Also, I saw them post something about like South by Southwest, like Australia or something. Did you see that?
Yeah, they're doing they're doing a London. They have a London one.
Oh, really?
They have a Sydney one.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Like, it's really interesting, speaking of festivals too, because Sundance is officially moving
I
to
saw
Denver.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, was it Denver or was it Boulder? I thought it was
it both?
Boulder.
Hold on.
Am I crazy?
No, I think you're right. Sorry.
That's okay. Wait, no, look it up now because now I need to know. And you know what? Ugh, man, it's a bummer because I feel like that's one I've always wanted to go to, and I've never been to Utah. And
no, it is Boulder. You're correct.
Boulder. Okay, yeah. I was like, wait, what? Denver? But I mean, I guess to me that's like not as much of a change, but I guess it's still easier to get to and navigate than where it's been.
Well, I did not know this, but apparently Park City is like there's like not that much parking. It's like very hard to I've heard
it's very nightmarish of like, an experience, but it's like, I don't know.
Well, it's also like very expensive. I saw people last year who were saying like I spent less to go to Venice than I did to go to Utah for a film festival, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's bizarre. That's bizarre.
One of the things I'm always very pro of is like making these more accessible for people. And it's really a shame because one of the controversies around Sundance this year was that some of the films that were on did you hear about this? Some of the films that were on the online portal like got leaked. Yeah, and there were some issues with like piracy, which is really a shame because if it was up to me, all of these festivals would have an online component so that anyone who wanted to could buy an online pass or get an online media credential and go. Like, if I could change the world in one small way, like this is just one of the things that I feel really strongly about. So if moving to Boulder is going to make things more accessible, great. If South by having a London offshoot or a Sydney offshoot is going to inspire some filmmaker, I think that's really cool. And I think I agree. More festivals should be moving towards stuff like this.
Yep, more accessibility, more options for people, I think is a really cool thing. So, speaking of all these festivals and things, we need to start talking about what we've been seeing lately because I know we recently talked about, we're kind of in this weird lull of, the time after the Oscars before the big summer blockbusters, but I saw 2 movies this weekend, so I'm ready to talk about what I've seen. I know you've been seeing some things lately, so What have you seen?
After our last podcast, I felt really bad because I was like, I'm dropping the ball in terms of films. So I was like, I need to make a concerted effort to see more things. Let's start with, because I know you saw The Accountant too. I want to start there. Like, what did you think of that?
I loved it.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, Shadan, genuinely, it was so funny and like so enjoyable and like genuinely funny. Like, you know, sometimes there's like little moments in like actiony type films that you're like, oh haha, like that was a good joke, or that was a, you know, whatever. It was like genuinely, we saw it in a pretty packed theater. It wasn't sold out, but it was a packed theater, and there was so much laughter. Not like laughing at it either. Like it was genuinely funny. I'm obsessed with John Bernthal. Like I have the biggest crush on him, like baseline. He is so good in it. He and Ben Affleck have incredible chemistry. They're just so naturally good together. And it's funny because, okay, let me tell you my story with these films. So my boyfriend Tyler, obviously, who you guys hear me talk about a lot, he loves like this type of film. Like this exact type of film is so him. So a while ago, we were just, I mean, this is like over a year ago at this point. We were trying to find something to watch, and I think like The Accountant, like the first one, was like streaming or something. And I said, "Oh, like, have you seen that?" Right? Like, and he had never seen it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this film is so like made for you." So we watched it, and of course, like he like fell in love with it, like obsessed. And so like very excited, very much looking forward to this sequel. And afterwards, of course, it was like, oh, there's got to be a third one, which like they're obviously setting it up for a third one. No spoilers there, but there's a setup for it. And he was like reading like about it, you know, after we left the movie, and about like the filmmaker and like what they want to make this like series of films. And it was like the second one, they wanted more John Bernthal in it, right? Which definitely they accomplished. And then it's like, it was funny because we left the theater and I was like, I just want like a Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, these characters like in a buddy cop film. Like that's what I want. And it was literally like later he was reading the article and it was like, that is the goal for the third film, is for it to be like this buddy, like road trip buddy film, right? But genuinely hilarious. Like the story was really good. It all came together. It's like that perfect like 2-hour mark of a film. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. Honestly, like I loved it a lot more than I thought. Like I was looking forward to seeing it just because I knew it'd be entertaining, but like it exceeded my expectations. Like it was genuinely laugh out loud funny, but also like exciting and intense and suspenseful. It just had all the things, truly. Like it hit all the marks for me.
I may be misremembering, but I feel like The Accountant itself, the first one, was not a film that was like designed. Like I never watched it thinking that this film was going to get a sequel. My whole thing is like, oh, it ended up making money and people liked it, so they made another one, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I was like so hesitant about the sequel, because I was like, this is not a movie that was designed to exist, sort of a thing.
Agreed. Yeah, agreed. Where, like I said, I feel like at the end of this one, it's very clear that they were setting it up for another one. But I agreed, and I thought like I'm always kind of hesitant too when I do feel like a film is just good as a standalone. Like I feel like the first one was like, it was good as a standalone. Like, why are we making another one? So I felt hesitant about it too. I will say it did not, like, it met my expectations totally.
Interesting. Now I have to see it.
Yeah, you do. It was really fun. It's really fun.
I do have to say my toxic trait is that I really enjoy Ben Affleck. Like I just really like him. I'm very charmed by him.
You're gonna love this.
Like, okay, the movie or just
yes, you're gonna love. Like like I said, like he's great in it. John Bernthal's great. They're great together. Like, yeah. I think you're gonna love it.
Yeah, I really, and I have to tell you, speaking of South by, maybe my favorite South by story is being there when they had Air. Was it last year? Maybe the year before? And Ben Affleck, like he just has, I want to say this for public consumption. This man gets so much whatever bad press for his like resting sad face. But what I learned seeing him in person is like that's just his face. Like he was like talking about because Matt Damon was there, and he was talking about how like Matt Damon is like one of the great loves of his life or whatever. Like he loves Matt Damon, and like he just like looked sad when he wasn't talking about like Matt Damon. Like whenever he was like somebody else was talking, like he legitimately just looked like sad to be there. And like I don't think he was. Like I think that's literally just his face because like you could tell the audience reacted really well. And if you haven't seen Air, I really like that movie a lot.
I love that movie.
It's good.
It's good. We rewatched it recently. It's good.
Yeah, it's solid. And so, but he was like, "Oh, I really like being here," and I could tell he really liked because the accountant too was at South by this year, so he clearly did really like being in Austin and the vibe and everything. But it was just funny that like whatever all I'm trying to say is that I completely believed everything that he was saying. It's just that his face was not matching the content. And so I literally think that's just his face. And I just enjoy so much that like he's at this phase in his life and his career where he just like doesn't really care to like change his face. And I've also similarly spent a lot of time obsessed with Cillian Murphy. I mean, I've been obsessed with Cillian Murphy for years, but for some reason my Instagram algorithm keeps showing me the like resting Cillian Murphy memes. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
So there's just something I really love about actors being like, this is just my face. And
that's so funny. I love that. Yeah. How do you feel about Jon Bernthal? Am I just like obsessed with him?
So I haven't seen, the only thing I've seen of his is The Bear outside of The Accountant. I don't think I've seen him in other things. But
he was in what? He was like randomly in Wolf of Wall Street. He obviously We Own the City, which is the spinoff from The Wire, which is Baltimore thing. So like he was like the main character in that. I don't know. I just love him and I just have the biggest crush on him, and he's so good in this that I think you're gonna have a crush on him by the end of it too. Like, I'm obsessed.
He's so talented. Well, he's one of those actors that I feel like has been around for so long, and it's like nice that he's like kind of having a moment. And obviously he's gotten love for
he
The
really
Bear, which
is. Yeah, he's so good in The Bear too. Sorry, I was just like kind of trying to look up like what else is he in, or like what else is he in that's like coming up, I don't know. You should watch. Wait, did you ever watch The Wire, the show?
I haven't. I have three iconic shows that I haven't seen, which I would like to get to at some point. One is The Sopranos, one is The Wire, and one is Breaking Bad. I haven't seen Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul I haven't seen, but you need to watch all three of those.
I know.
Obviously, I'm biased with The Wire, but obviously it's great.
Is it set in Baltimore?
Yeah, girl. It's like we're gonna have I'm gonna teach you all about The Wire soon.
I didn't know that.
Also he was in Jon Bernthal was in Widows. I forgot he was in that.
Oh yes. Speaking of a movie that, man, one of the most underrated films of like the last, when did it come out? A decade ago? The last decade? I love Widows. I need to rewatch Widows. That's homework. If you were listening to Chasing the Gold, everyone, let's rewatch Widows together. We should do a Widows episode, Erica. The film that should have been the Oscar sweeper.
I know.
Was not
I know.
Widows.
It was so good. Also, I have never really seen this, but I'd be remiss to mention that Jon Bernthal, he's also in Daredevil, which I think is like a really popular show.
Which I also have not seen.
Okay, I haven't seen it either, but
I've given up on my Marvel. I'm not as big of a Marvel fangirl as I used to be. I'm kind of, I see some of them. I don't see all. I used to be, I don't know if you know this about me, Erica, but I used to be like midnight premiere, like there in line, front of the line. And now I'm just old and cynical and withered. Okay, I want to talk about Sinners.
Tell me.
My much beloved friend, have not had a chance to see this movie.
Not yet.
And I guarantee you, when you see it, you're going to come back and you're going to say, we need a whole episode about this movie. And there's enough content in this movie to do an entire episode about it. But I mentioned a few episodes ago, Bob Trevino Likes It, which I'm already putting on my favorite movies of the year. And it's going to be there all season long. And I think Sinners, like, I need to watch it again because there's so much to digest. Like it was one of those films where I like left and I was like, I wish I could like go to the next showing and just watch it again because there's so much and it's such a layered film. And I have to say, I'm not a big horror person, but the kind of horror that I like is exactly like the Sinners thing, where it's like it's using horror to tell us something. It's not just, gore for the sake of gore. Like it has a lot to say, it has a lot to show us. I felt like so many of the choices were like deliberate, and it was just like Ryan Coogler like clearly just had a vision for this, and I felt like it was executed really well. To quote JD, our fearless leader, he called it a messy masterpiece, I think, on the podcast review that they did. And I would very much agree. It's like not a movie that I would say is like perfect and like doesn't hit all its marks, maybe exactly right, but it's like just does so much and is so like vivid. And there's just like some sequences in this movie that I will be thinking about for a very long time. I think the acting is really good. And I just really like the music. Oh my god. The music is fantastic. And the costumes by Ruth Carter are great. The production design, just everything. I really like this movie.
It's doing really well. Like
it's
everyone
doing
I know that's seen it.
insanely well.
Yeah.
So I went to see it on a Wednesday and it was packed.
Really?
Packed. Yeah. Crazy how well this movie's doing. Had one of the lowest box office drops in history for its second weekend this weekend, just making bank, which is incredible because it's an original film from a, auteur. And Erica, can I tell you one other thing is Ryan Coogler is 38 years old.
Wow.
Like this man has one of the most stacked filmographies of anyone working, and he's 38 years old. Just insane. The amount of talent is crazy. So,
so before go ahead. I want to know what you think it's going to be nominated for.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's literally what I was going to say.
Okay,
here's what everything I think. Do you want me to be realistic or like it's best day or realistically?
Let's do both. Do both.
Okay, I think realistically, we're looking at picture, screenplay, and score. I just feel like with the 10 nominees and the amount of passion that's around this film, for those of you who are not as chronically online as I am, Tom Cruise like even tweeted about it and was like, "Come see this movie." Like everyone is just like rallying around this movie. There's so much passion, and when you look at these films from earlier in the year that carry on, the Everything Everywhere All at Once is like it's the films that have this passion, and it's the films that have something to say. Like something like Challengers, which we talked a lot about last season, was a great movie, but I think for a lot of people maybe it felt a little bit empty, whereas I feel like Sinners has a message and there's meat and there's heft to it, and it's the kind of thing that it's going to carry on. I think it has staying power. They clearly, talk about the casting Oscar. Like, Erica, this is the kind of film that would be a shoo-in for, in a perfect world for casting too. Like, it's just
Okay, so tell me. Okay, I obviously have seen this film everywhere. I have not watched a trailer. I've been like trying to stay as blind as possible, but can you give me like a 2-sentence, like, this is what this film's about?
You don't know anything about this movie at all.
I know Michael B. Jordan's in it. That's like I literally have like tried to stay away from because I don't know
how much because I would have loved to because I avoided all the trailers. I would have loved to be completely blind when I went in, but certain things had gotten spoiled for me because I just hadn't had a chance to see it opening weekend. But it's Michael B. Jordan. He plays twins, so he plays he's joined the iconic pantheon, like the actors playing twins, which I'm kind of obsessed with. And he plays twin brothers, and they were like working with Al Capone in Chicago. They're like these gangsters, and they come back home to open a speakeasy as their like next business venture. And then there's like genre stuff that happens. I don't know. I don't really want to give anything away, but it's really interesting. And what's interesting about it is the way that music plays into the film. I think is just really brilliant. And the way that it like uses the horror genre to comment on race, class, freedom and what freedom is, what love is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I saw something that said like paranormal. So I know that side.
Yeah,
of
there's definitely
it.
some paranormal stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
I don't want to like overblow it because, like I said, I'm not gonna say it's perfect. Like I'm not gonna say it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. But I did really enjoy it, and I just think it's really well made. And just seeing it like in a theater with like a really big crowd was really cool. Stay after the credits. There's multiple end credit scenes. It's just a really cool movie, and it's nice to see people showing up.
Yeah.
Because there's, I think, really great movies that people don't show up for.
Yeah.
And I have to say, as somebody who like Friday Night Lights was like a very formative show for me, that cast is just everywhere. And like my little heart is just so happy for Michael B. Jordan because I feel like he's just such
great.
The
he's
charisma.
a little baby in The Wire. So if you want to talk about,
he's in The Wire, yeah,
he is a baby in The Wire. Yes, I need you to watch it.
Yeah, Erica. So you need to
go
go
on The Wire later.
Sinners. And
Yeah,
if you
I
haven't,
definitely will.
if an IMAX theater, because I couldn't find an IMAX near me that was showing it, but if you have an IMAX near you that is showing it, I highly recommend going to see it in IMAX.
Okay, yeah. If nothing else, we'll definitely see it in Dolby. If nothing else, so, well, yeah. It's been at the top of my list. It just, I really wanted to get to see Drop today because it's like. Drop was one that like I was like, oh, this like movie seems totally like up my alley and I really want to see it. And it's down to like only having like 2 showtimes a day. So I'm like, I really want to go. So that's what we saw today. But Sinners is definitely next on the list. So speaking of Drop, you've seen it as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not to plug my something, but Dave, who's the editor-in-chief of In Session Film, we did a podcast together called Pop Culture Case Study where we talked about Red Eye. Have you ever seen Red Eye, Erica?
Yes. I love Rachel McAdams. And
so we talked so we talked about Red Eye and sort of this subgenre of film, which Drop very much is, the director has said, like a spiritual kind of homage to Red Eye, but this whole thing of like you're trapped with somebody and they're wanting you to do something before the clock runs out. Like this is a very like specific subgenre of thriller, but it's like one that I just very much enjoy. And so as soon as I realized that like Drop was a similar sort of vibe, I was like, oh, like I will be seated.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what did you think?
I really how should I put this politely? I did not go into it with like high expectations. Like I realized, like I was like, okay, I like the subgenre. I really like the actors involved, but I was like, this is just gonna be like, my mom was in town and she wanted to go to the movie, so we were like, let's see Drop. It was like a good movie to see with your mom type of vibe. For me anyway, because that's kind of weird stuff that we do together. But but like I really like ended up, I was like completely like enamored by this. I don't know, Erica. Here's the thing about a movie like Drop. Dave and I talk about this on the podcast. It's like sometimes you have to just give yourself over to like what a movie is trying to do.
Yeah.
So I could sit here and be like, well, Drop, blah, 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 this thing, that thing. But I'm not going to do that because you know why? I went to the movies. I sat there. I was completely, kind of enthralled by what it was trying to do. And I went along for the ride and I had a great time. I really did.
Yeah. I loved it too. Everyone knows I love a thriller. I love like a suspense moment. We also like, obviously Tyler and I went together and he was doing that at like after we left. He was like, I loved it until the last like 10 minutes or whatever. And it was like, then he was like questioning all these things. And I was like, stop questioning it. Like, just let it be what it is and like enjoy it, because he was, the thing he was like really hung up on was how did she get from the restaurant in downtown Chicago back to her house? Like, and yes, there was like a throwaway line earlier in the film where it was like, oh, I'm only a couple minutes from the city or whatever, like I'm not far, but it's like, just let it Like, she was a speed demon driving down the roads and got there, okay? Just let it be. Because he was like, how did she beat the cops there? How did, and I'm like, just stop questioning it. Like, it's fine, Like you said, give yourself over to this type of film and let it take you on the ride. Yeah, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was suspenseful. I would like to talk spoilers. If we want to get into it, we can give like a spoiler warning, because I want to know who you thought it was that was like behind it all, and then when we find out who it was, like, what did you think?
Okay, well, let's do a spoiler warning. So,
Okay, spoiler.
Yeah, spoilers. So if you haven't seen Drop, I think we can both say we recommend it. I definitely think it's worth the money, worth the investment. I really enjoyed it.
It's fun. It's fun. It's like a perfect 90-minute thriller afternoon at the movies. Yeah, so super
yes.
fun.
So let's get into spoil. Can I say real quick, because when I went to see it again with my mom, which was a strange choice, but she was like, she leaned over to me, she goes, oh please, if that girl wasn't so pretty, he would have been out of that restaurant within 5 minutes. It's so true. That was, if you want to talk about, like,
I love your mom.
Yeah, like, if you want to talk about like plot holes that bothered me, like, nobody would still be sitting there. Like, they'd be like, what is wrong with this girl? Like, they would have gotten up and left. Like, I love Megan Fahey. She is gorgeous.
Yeah, she is. She is. I love that your mom said that. A, love her for that. B, it was also so funny how, like, when we thought he was gonna leave, she, like, there was like that slow-mo like kiss moment, and she's like, stay with me, and he's like, okay. Like, there was no hesitation. But I also think that played into, did you think he was behind it? You know what I mean? Like, it was like, was he never really actually going to leave because, like, he's the one behind all of this,
I mean, like, I feel like it's one of those things where there's like a moment in the film where you suspect everyone. I just felt like if he would have been behind it all, it would have been too obvious of a choice. And I admittedly am not the best person at like cracking thrillers. Like, sometimes things that are really obvious to other people, I don't, because I go so much into the film. So I feel like other people are better at picking up things while I'm kind of more enwrapped in everything. But like, I just felt like it wasn't going to be him, because that would have been like a cop out choice. Like, it had to be somebody else.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So who are your suspects? Because mine, I mean, and this was like the obvious sort of misdirect, but I really did think that the random guy that was there was gonna be the guy that was, like, supposedly waiting on his sister.
Yeah. We also at one point thought maybe the bartender.
Mm-hmm.
Did you suspect her at any point?
Did. Well, and my thing, maybe not the bartender as much. I thought maybe we were gonna find out that her ex-husband was not dead, and that he was the one that was like, because the whole idea was like, oh, it's her first date, and so I thought maybe somehow he was alive and he was, messing with her date. I felt like that was gonna be the twist. That's kind of where I don't know. I don't think I had any evidence for this.
I know I had a split second of that, but it was very much like, I'm widowed, and I felt like if she wouldn't have, like, I don't know, to use the term widowed is so like definitive. If it would have been more vague, like, my ex-husband or my, like, I don't know. Yeah, I had like a minute where I thought, like, did she actually not, like, I don't know. I thought for a second too, maybe there was going to be a twist with like her past.
But help me out here. Did you actually predict that it was the guy on the blind date?
When I got down to it, I thought it was either him or the guy with the sister, like waiting on his sister, because those were the two, like, there had to have been a reason for that old man to be old man. Wow. I should not have said that. The guy on the blind date. Sorry. I said old man because I wanted to tell you that, the first thing I do is I go to Letterboxd and I read the like highest review, like the review with the most likes. And it was something like, there's nothing more terrifying than an old man who knows how to use airdrop. And it just sent me. I thought it was hilarious. So, okay. So the gentleman that was on the blind date, yeah, I was definitely sus of him because there was no like I knew that the guy with the sister was like meant to distract us, right? Because like it kept going back to him like being on his phone and he was all real weird and he was like at different seats and like moving all around and so I felt like we were supposed to think it was him, right? Which is why I was like, why would we have introduced this other character, right? I never thought it was the waiter. The waiter was not like giving those vibes. I did have like I said, a moment where I thought it was maybe the bartender. And then I thought it was the bartender because when the piano player got poisoned, it was like, well, he got the drink from the bar, you know what I mean? Which is why I had that moment. And then, yeah, I just was like sus of the blind date guy the whole time because I was like, why has he been introduced? You know?
Yeah, in hindsight, I feel like, oh, I should have seen it coming. I felt like maybe they just introduced him because they wanted to be like, oh, look how nice she is.
Yeah.
But no, I didn't maybe go into that avenue as far. I was more distracted by like, that's one hell of that sister took a lot of, man.
Oh, the babysitter sister?
Yeah, the babysitter sister.
Yeah.
I was like that. Like the ending was so funny where it's like the sister was also in the hospital and she like brings up like this girl like got the living F like kicked out of her or whatever.
Yes.
And you're like flirting with this man.
Yeah, that was silly. I also loved at the end when she gets to the house and, the sister comes downstairs. She's like clearly beat up and like had been shot. And she's just like, so how was your date? Like that was genuinely funny to me. But no, I was thinking about it too. And you know what else about the guy on the blind date that I thought was interesting was that the woman he was on the date with, like I want to know, like, was it a legit blind date? Because she showed up and was clearly not, like, into him. Or was that all, like, because I don't know. I'm just interested to see, like, I wish I knew more about that story because also I thought it was interesting that it kept going back to him and showing that, like, the date was unsuccessful, So I thought that was interesting too because I kept thinking, like, this guy on the blind date's going to play in somehow, right? Like they keep going back to him, So I was like, he's got to come back into the story at some point, which is why I was so like suspicious of him.
Erica, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If in an alternate world where you've never met Sweet Tyler and you're single and you go to date with some random guy who you've been messaging for 3 months, but he's like, lying to you about a watch, getting up to go to the bathroom every 5 minutes. Like, would you get up? Keep in mind, he's, gorgeous, super movie star, but would you get up and leave?
How old am I? What is my life situation? No, I'm just kidding.
Like, no, it's like right now, I guess.
No, I would leave. I'd be like, this is a waste of my time. Goodbye. Like, yeah, I would have left 100%.
I don't know if I would be strong enough. Like, I understand that, like, you've invested like 3 months talking to this person. Yeah.
Yes, but first of all, when you online date and you are meeting someone for the first time, you never commit to dinner on the first date. You do drinks. You do drinks, and then if it's going well after the first drink, then you can let's order an appetizer, let's have dinner, whatever. First date to like commit to a dinner like that, no.
Also, she was like very dressed up for that dinner. Like I was like, girl, like
when he showed up with I know when he showed up with that bag, I was like, first of all, why do you have a bag with you? Like, did you just come from work or like whatever? And he even like kind of made a comment that he was like kind of dressed down a little bit. Shadan's laughing at me, you guys.
I'm literally crying. I'm not even laughing anymore. There's actually
yeah, we have a gig. We're having a giggly night, you guys.
You were like, what?
I'm glad that they acknowledged it immediately because I was like, if they don't talk about this man's bag as soon as they sit down, I'm done. I'm done with this movie. So I was glad that they acknowledged it. And like also as someone who has had to take expensive cameras around in the world, I totally understand you have to bring it with you because people will steal that shit out of your car. You cannot chance that. I get it. And that was like a really easy way to get the whole like SD card thing into the play, whatever. I don't know. Guys, I've ruined Shadan. She has tears. She's wiping tears from her eyes. Oh my god.
My like, thing was like, why wouldn't you wait? You're like coming to the nicest restaurant in Chicago. Like, you can't leave your bag with the coach. I guess I didn't think about the bag to the level that you did, clearly. But
well, but then it's also like, well, he also had to have the bag with him because it couldn't get stolen because it had the crime photos on there. It had the things on there that like he couldn't get that stolen, obviously. Guys, Drop was a great time. Highly recommend.
I love this movie. Now I wish I gotta get you and my mom together. I think the commentary would just kill me. I don't think I would survive.
And Lord. Did you feel like it went off the rails at the end? Like, were you annoyed by that though, or were you like in on it?
I mean, but that's a part of the joy of a film like this is like the ridiculousness of it.
Yes,
so I didn't mind.
Yes.
But I mean, it does like, especially the part where she's like hanging out of the window of like the restaurant. Like,
oh my god, literally like, hanging on by a thread.
Yeah.
I was like, are you kidding me? And homeboy who just got shot has the upper body strength to pull her up. Like, come on. But again, I'm in on it. Like, I'm in. Like, it was fun.
And then like the scene where they're in her house and they have like their final fight, like he does like kick her in the ribs like multiple times.
Yeah.
And like she's like a very tiny like you're telling me this girl just gets up and is like hugging her son? Like, no, you would be on the floor for
not to be super dark, but clearly she's been beaten up before. Like, you know.
But like that's not, I feel like that's just not a very realistic portrayal of like.
Is it like, an adrenaline thing? It's an adrenaline thing where it's like you can do it because your like adrenaline is like taking over. I guess.
Like your mother's instinct of like I have to protect my kid, but like maybe I'm misremembering. It wasn't the whole thing with like the waiter where he was just like under a thing the whole time. I feel like that would be me. I would.
Oh my god! Yes, he was like under
I would
the
not
table.
be a hero. I would not be doing anything to save anybody. I would be under the table waiting for it to end so I could go home.
Yeah, he was funny. I actually loved him. I thought he was hilarious. The waiter.
Yeah. No, I do think. I mean, the ending, yes, it does go. But I just like. I'm like, I don't care. I feel like that's part of the vibe of the movie.
Yes, because it's like, how else does it end? You know, it's got to go off the rails to get to an ending. So,
which like my beloved Red Eye also goes like, very off the rails at the end. So I kind of feel like that's part of the formula too. Like you need like some, to your point about the adrenaline, like to end it all.
Yeah.
I do want to speak of adrenaline to end it all. I cannot.
I'm sorry.
I do want to mention guys. Another film. I don't know if I told you that I went to Pride and Prejudice. Did I?
Oh yeah, no, I knew you were gonna go. I feel like we talked about like that it was happening or whatever. How was it?
I don't know, and I don't know if they're still doing the re-release. But if you do see it somewhere, I highly recommend going. And you know what's funny is I've seen the original Pride and Prejudice. I think was like 10 when it came. So I don't think I originally saw it as like a child in theaters, but I've obviously seen it like multiple times. And not to get like sappy or whatever, but this is like the power of like the theatrical experience is like going there, like sitting in a dark room. I went with like a dear friend of mine. It was like so, like, I don't know. It just really made me believe in like, wow, cinema. And like I was, as you can tell, you guys, I'm very giggly. And so like all of the like, Mr. Darcy romance stuff, like I was squealing and like everyone in the theater was. I was not being obnoxious. Like we were all like, into the romance of this thing. Yeah. And he does like the hand flex, like all the little moments. Yeah. And we were just like squealing, like laughing. And I don't know, it just made me feel so like I really loved it. And I don't know, it kind of like just made me awaken something in me of being like, wow, like I really love movies. And then I went and saw like Sinners a couple days later. So I was like, But it was really special to get to experience, again, even if it is a movie you've seen multiple times, it is like really special to get to experience it in the theatrical element, the way that it was made to be produced. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
just a really great
I
experience.
love the revivals. I love when they do the revivals and bring things back that you've seen. I mean, the amount of times I've seen Hocus Pocus in a theater like during Halloween, it's like yeah, it's in the theater. I'm gonna go see it. I've seen this movie 1,000 times. I could watch it at home right now, but it's so fun to be in a theater seeing it, and I'm gonna take every opportunity that I can to do that. I had like okay, this is bad, but I have to admit, I've never seen the Pride and Prejudice like all the way through. I've seen a lot of it, but I've never seen like the full thing. I've seen like all the clips that you're like the ones that you're talking about. And a friend of mine, it's like one of her favorites, and I really wanted to go. I just like couldn't make it happen. But I think it was like sold out around here. Like I think the showings that they did, like it was sold out. And I think they only did a couple. So
Yeah. No, it and it holds up. It really does
yeah.
hold up, and that would also be another fun movie for us to discuss because it's such a good adaptation. And I actually started watching the. Have you seen the miniseries, the Colin Firth one?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
That one's really good too. They're very different, so it's
Mm.
interesting that like this book has had two very good adaptations of it. But yeah, I just really like. I mean, the acting is so good. Like Keira Knightley in that film. Oh my gosh! But it's just a very good movie. If you can't see it in theaters, I would recommend watching it in general. But it was such a great experience, and yeah, that should be one of my like goals for the rest of the years. Anytime they have these classics, I make more of an effort. Because I think you do kind of have that thing of like, well, I've already seen it. Like, do I need to go pay? But it's like it's going to see it in a theater is just a completely different experience. So
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah. I was looking because sometimes I like to go into the app and like look because they'll put things like, coming soon or re-releasing or whatever. And Monty Python and the Holy Grail it's the 50th anniversary of that coming up. And that's like one of like Tyler's favorites. Like he grew up watching it with his brothers and stuff. And like I've seen it a bunch of times because it's one that we'll just like throw on or whatever. And it genuinely is hilarious and makes me laugh. So like, yeah, just get out to the theater and see the things whenever they're playing, like
get out to
so
the theater and see the things.
yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay,
Right.
Erica. Yeah, I'll let you wrap this up. I think I'm too disheveled.
Well, Shadan, I think you should I think you should tell the people that you're gonna be traveling a little bit, so it
I
might
am
be
going
like
to
a
be
little bit
traveling.
before you hear.
Yes,
Yeah.
we should mention that because we're sort of in this in between the Oscar seasons, like once we get to festival season, we are planning on doing much more regular episodes. I think right now we're kind of going to be sporadically in and out of your feed, so bear with us a little bit. And I do have some travels coming up. We'll try to have some things scheduled for you guys. And we've mentioned time and time again, like we love getting feedback so much.
Yeah.
So if there's kind of a classic, we mentioned like Pride and Prejudice, or if there's a classic film that we should be rewatching, or kind of a book to movie thing, whatever the case may be, like we always welcome that. But yeah, bear with us for a little while we kind of figure out what our off season is going to look like. And my giggle fits. But
yeah,
but
there's a lot of really good stuff that's like a lot of books that are coming to either Netflix films or released in the theaters. Like I think we're gonna have a lot there to discuss that I'm excited about. So definitely look out for that because
it's going to be, and one of the episodes we're planning on doing soon is sort of the preview of what's to come for the rest of 2025. It's going to be a really, really solid year. And even, kind of in our last episode, we're talking about, oh, well, the movies, like there haven't been very many, but now I'm like, there have been. We just were a little bit slow to get them.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's going to be a really fun season. And we say this all the time, but we're just like grateful to be here. Geeking out with you guys, even though sometimes we tend to geek out too much and it's hard to reel it in, but it's just because we're like unapologetically like excited and love film, and really happy to have like an avenue to talk about them. So
yeah, and truly, like I forget sometimes that we're recording this so people can listen to it because it's just me and you here, and like we're just being the girlies and like chatting and talking about things and laughing. So like bear with us on that too. Sorry, we're just truly being ourselves. So
yeah, and if you want to come giggle with us, we always would love to have, as many listeners come, geek out with us and giggle with us.
Yes. Okay, so of course follow In Session Film in all the places, obviously Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, Instagram, Facebook, all the things. Shadan, where can everyone follow you?
I'm at Shadan Larkey everywhere. Trying to wean myself off of X unsuccessfully still, but Instagram.
I've been scaling back on my use as well. So, but I'm E-Rock
Erica,
Reviews. Yeah,
E-Rock Reviews, a very fun cyber stock, I must say. So I encourage you all to follow my friend because she posts really interesting. It's like, I don't know, 25% books, 25% Baltimore centric things.
Yes,
I need to figure out what the other 50% are. I started this train and didn't really complete it, but you should follow her.
So follow us, follow In Session Film, and we'll be back soon to talk about all of the things. So thank you for listening to Chasing the Gold, and we'll see you guys soon.